Welcome, everybody, to the latest with Brad Rochefort and David Leighton, episode 8. Pretty exciting, Brad. This year we've had. I think we talked a little bit about it last week, but 2025 is coming, and it feels like we had a jam-packed 2024. Like, if I think of all like the chunks of advancement since I started working in tech in the 80s, kind of feels like we had a 5-year block. What do you think?
David, I like that we didn't script out what we were going to say. Sometimes you and I, we block out a couple talking points, but we just sort of said, let's just talk about what's new. Uh, Glad to have the holiday edition here at the end of 2024. You're absolutely right. It's from a software and computer use perspective, it's a challenge to think back beyond 2 years because the AI software tools have overtaken what I consider software. And now when I think about software, I think about the automated features inside imaging tools, text and search tools, and any other commonly used software. I almost immediately think, where's the automation button so that I can take a bunch of text, group it together, organize it, highlight it, bold it, make it into markup language or markdown language. I think that, like you're saying, we've had what used to take years of development all inside the last few months so that it's almost unrecognizable. When I looked at my image scroll earlier yesterday, I saw like a very early Mid-Journey or a Dolly image, and it was like Minecraft pixelated. If you know that children's video game Minecraft with the very pixelated blocks, it was so far back from a recognizable image. Where today the images that you can generate are so far beyond the ability for anyone to tell if it's real or fake. Video is coming. In our Brain Juice chat, you saw David Freeman put his fiction. David is a former Fox and Disney studio vice president executive, and he's telling you that these tools are beyond uh, approaching art. They've reached it. So I think that's what's new is that like high seasoned professionals in arts and entertainment, in tech, in writing and graphics, everyone is saying like this has surpassed the expert.
Right. And if you
I
just
think.
and if you think about just the evolution of technology or IT, right? MIS, it used to be called IT, right? And as we evolved, the web started PC software, web started, then it was really low code, no code up until generative AI, OpenAI released ChatGPT. And there was even those low code, no code programs, right? It's like you had to be somewhat technical to implement like a Zapier as an example, or some of these other things that you could,
Mhm.
mirror systems. But it seems like now, and I was listening to somebody this morning who's like more of a consultant. He says, oh, he works bigger picture and then he brings in the people to implement the systems. No, all you have to do is paste things in Claude now. It'll spit out code, right? So, I mean, it's pretty incredible because really, technology should be invisible to us. It should
Mhm.
help us drive what we're driving better and more effectively. And that's what these software companies in the technology industry spent trillions of dollars on. And it seems like it's almost there, right? It just seems like it should have us amplify ourselves.
Mhm. When I think about the latest, what's the newest, what's the latest, what's trending, what's changing, I think how we talk about in terms of weeks or months, what about last year, the year before? If we think broader, and we don't have to know our history completely, but if we think back a few hundred years ago, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have cars, they didn't have what we consider modern life. Like our modern life is unrecognizable. The buildings we live in, the clothing we wear, the food we eat, it's completely foreign if you go back like 600 years, right? And I don't know what 600 years looks like, but I know I've been places where it's old stuff and it's totally different. So I feel like all of the building blocks of civilization happened not to go too deep on a holiday edition here, but all those building blocks happened not because hundreds of years went by, but because we just tried 5 times, 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. When we have automation tools, they try like 1,000 times a second. So that's the reason things are getting better. It's not because these machines are smarter. It's because we've sped up attempt number two, attempt number three, attempt number four, attempt number five. It's just sped it up.
Yeah,
So anything that we're doing, you can condense that like 100 years of discovery into like a minute. It's not something humans are used to thinking about. But the reason things are going to get so fast, it's not because there's magic or it's scary. It's just quicker. Like it's a good way to grasp it. It's just quicker. And I have every faith in humanity that even if we make something that people go, oh, should we have made that? We can still unplug it. Like we really can't. We don't owe it to anybody to keep things that don't serve us. So I'm not scared of these technologies. I feel like we will use them to serve the greater good.
yeah. Well, that's I think another conversation. That whole thing, right? But I do feel like for me, you know, being in my 50s, 30, been in, half of my battle with AI, and I'm kind of coming to the point now where I'm going to make my goals and affirmations for 2025.
Yeah.
And I consult and I'm meeting with a law firm tomorrow to help them get their staff just kind of understanding how they can use AI just to improve little things, right? You don't have to do everything. But it's really retraining myself to just think about leveraging these tools when I want to do something. If I'm responding to an email, if I have to do some research, right? I mean, right, the little things, and I catch myself sometimes about to call somebody or Googling something when in fact the answer is right there if I train my LLM. And I do go back and forth. I do have Claude and OpenAI subscriptions. I kind of go back and forth. I use them for different workflows and for my different companies and just training. But it's really, I think, just training your right. This is a new way of working. And once we get that how to incorporate that, we'll be just much more effective in 2025.
Yeah, I agree, David. I think the latest is absolutely a mindset. It's that belief that you're a minute or two away from the solution, perhaps, right? For me, the big latest technology that I like is the ability for these AI chat tools to see my screen, to take screenshots, and for my phone to participate in them. You showed us last time using a WordPress website. You sort of said, "Hey, how do I do this?" I've been doing that. Made a turkey for Christmas yesterday. I just said to AI, hey, here's the size of the turkey. Here's the temperature of the oven. What's the cook time? Because I was going to Google how long does it take to cook a turkey of this size? And then I just went, no, no, no. I'm just going to ask the chat GPT, and it was very accurate. It worked. It will not work for everyone every time, but I'm telling you, if you have like a general understanding of what good should look like, I still use the thermometer. I still checked it. I didn't just
Blindly
just
go. I hear
I
you.
didn't just blindly trust it. I think that's not quite where we're at. But you're absolutely right. The mindset of thinking this is my new go-to tool and that it can very quickly solve my problem. I've been using it making an image. How do these colors look? Just screenshot. And I just say, how do these colors look? And it says, hey, you might want to adjust this. And the adjustments are usually always better. Like always. From my experience, they're excellent.
Yeah, right. And then, you can go to the next level. Like Camille created that turkey app. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see the turkey cooking app he made? And he
No.
kind of walks through the whole process. And then there's like there's like you can put in the amount of pounds of turkey and how you like it, and then it creates all the calculations, right? So it's even thinking, oh, I can create GPTs. And then for our businesses, right? Projects was just added to OpenAI. I don't know
Yeah.
if you had a chance to look at that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using projects in Claude, And it's really a way just to segment, my different projects, my different business. I had a call last night, even though it was Christmas, but they're in India, so it was, day after Christmas for them.
Yeah.
And just leading up, and I was doing all my research leading up to the call. It's like, okay, let me just dump this, and I've been meaning to set up a project, but now I've got a project set up in Claude where I've just fed it in all the new witty info, and then when I want to create a deck or proposal for a new client, I can simply go through, upload their press releases, their annual reports. It's going to check it against what I wanted, how I potentially could work with them, and then create a game plan. So it's really just, right, remembering how and thinking big, thinking about what we hadn't thought about before, because stuff is possible now that wasn't possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as we're talking, you get these ideas. The latest really might be to spend the same amount of time and get a much better output. So it might not be about saving time. It's like it used to take me an hour. I'm still going to spend an hour, but in that hour, I'm going to go do a project in Claude and a project in ChatGPT, learn which one suits my style, and go, which one is right for me? Which one do I find easier? Which one is the output better? And then say, that hour got me a much more polished final output. Like you're saying, you have essentially a folder and then a process that makes it, I don't know, like, can you do two projects in the time it took one or four? Like the latest is a higher standard of output, less frustration, easier user interface, which is the way you type or interact with the computer. But certainly the latest is to embrace these tools the same way there was a fear of Google 20 years ago or your credit card online. People had a very skeptical approach to those things, which is true for many people. Their right to guard their privacy and guard their numbers on their credit card or their address or whatever. I feel that the latest for people will be to overcome that skepticism about AI and embrace it where it's safe and smart, and tune into the latest for where we find it safe and smart and see if you agree.
Yeah, right. And I think even back then, right, while they're handing their credit card to the waiter, that who knows if they just got out of jail or something, they didn't want to put it online, right? But I think now we have such a more tech savvy baseline that now
Yeah.
moving to AI, but then you still hear the fear and everything else. And I think that's where we have to educate through the show.
Yeah.
What I'd like us to do, Brad, both for this show, for all the AI think tanks and stuff we do together, is even look back and slow it down. I feel like we blew through the saunas and the Ursuno and
That
Udemy quickly. That was like a week.
exactly.
Now people are like, oh my God, you could do that. I'm like, yeah, that was like 6 months ago, but right. But people are so those things I want to get deeper into, and then even do like a little piece every week about that. I think that what you showed, that the AI studio from Google and Notebook and all that stuff, right? There's just so much there. Even just like I was looking at Gemini and how it can help me go through. I've built up, I have a lot of Google Docs and some older stuff, and how can I have it kind of look at everything, right? I do want to, and maybe it's possible in the YouTube channel or in the AI studio, even just cleaning up our YouTube channel and automating that. And I was even thinking about like, could it go through and create a story? Because I think we had our for YouTube, we had YouTube videos, I think going back to like 2008. And we've had different people at the company, and some people were just throwing stuff up, and it was just kind of like a video repository for us. We didn't necessarily have like a social savvy person on it. So, and now we can clean these things up where it would have been such a huge project before. Not that it's not big, but I think that these are all the things we can do. But I think because we're in our AI bubble, let's step back, right?
Mhm.
And let's right because the other 99.5% haven't heard of these things that we're taking for granted.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. The latest is there are hundreds of softwares out there that do things that you would love to hear if you knew about. Um, I encourage anyone to pick the one tool that interests them and just get a solid footing on it. If you're new to these tools, just pick one and go, I like pictures, I like songs, I like writing, I like research, I like projects, whatever it is you like, just pick one and try it. Spend the $20 and accept that the next 5 years might be so different than 5 years ago that you'll most likely greatly benefit from exploring a couple of these tools. I mean, many of them are free. You don't even need to spend money if you're not using it professionally. But certainly the latest is a mindset that learning to Google search and learning to, cut and paste on a computer is something most adults take for granted. I think 5 years from now, most adults that are 27 or 22 now, they're going to spend the next 5 years learning all this stuff. And those 27-year-olds will be CEOs and executives, and they'll take for granted that you know how to create a song and create a website and create a video and create a presentation in less than an hour. And they might just take that for granted. They'd be like, hey, can you just give me a video and a song and a website by lunch? And you'll say, I'm sorry, what, lunch next year?
Yeah.
But I think that'll be the latest. I think, this AI software revolution will be a language that everyone should be encouraged to at least start to understand. I think for today, rather than specific tools, just what you started with, David, is big, is it's a mindset.
Yeah, and I think and we have all the AI think tanks and stuff during the week. People can use promo code latest if they want to join Witty, save 20%, see Brad and I and other people you'll meet from all around the globe that'll help you get there faster and smarter. So I think that'll be good. So let's wrap it up. CES,
Yeah.
we have in a couple weeks. We'll be doing an overview of what's going to be new at CES. I suspect there'll be a lot of AI at CES. Just saying,
Mhm.
wild guess. But right, but everything from TVs and I mean, just every product, even though AI's always been there in the background, from kind of behind the scenes. Now using it, it just lets really us push the button and bring our unique human perspective into it. So I'm excited about that. We'll do a preview of the show. Brad and I will be out there in Vegas together. Um, yeah. And any final thoughts, Brad?
Just enjoy that we're in a time where the latest is very exciting. I feel like if you keep your mind open and you believe that things are going to be good, the things you will see will delight you and surprise you.
Excellent. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I
happy
really think so.
holidays, everybody. We'll see you next year, which is
Yeah.
also next week.
Happy